All right, Sweetgreen was the next recommendation to look at. So that's a consumer stock. Close out my software list here. For the consumer, that's a restaurant, if I recall correctly. We've looked at a couple restaurants. One we've not looked at, or one we've looked at that we didn't put in here is Dutch Bros, right? Let's add Dutch Bros. What is Dutch Bros stock ticker again? Anybody remember? Oh, it's Bros. I could have sworn we looked at another restaurant too, other than Kava. Burger King's private. Subway's private. Oh, you can use Control-Z to undo, but you can't undo two things. All right, Sweetgreen. Inverse Creed. I don't know if we can inverse Creed, man. That trade, it's sort of supposed to... Nomura might work. If you can predict growth rate for restaurants, yeah, you can make some money. We're looking at SG Sweetgreen. Question is, what's the same store growth versus the new restaurant growth? Usually, same store growth is pretty low. About $1 billion in revenue, or closing in on $1 billion in revenue, around 800. So 4 times sales, give or take. Low margins. Very low margins. 22% restaurant margin, but they have a ton of other expenses too. So basically break even. No, 35 is a little, unless you're talking QSR, which Quick-Green is QSR, right? But they were able to grow their revenue without changing their operating expenses. So I'm not sure as the Flox is in. I think maybe that's not the case, but I'm not sure. So yeah, let's see if there's cash flow here. I'll have to compare it on a price to revenue basis against the other guys. Yeah, I think Starbucks is cooked too, but I just don't know the valuation. I'm not sure on Chegg. I wouldn't rush to. I mean, lettuce is pretty cheap, so. I mean, there's stuff in Godel that I don't use. So I just use it the way I use it, but your tool, the way you use your tools is up to you. Like I never use charts, but we are adding TradingView charts, I'm told soon. And we're going to ultimately make our own chart library because even TradingView leaves some stuff to be desired. Anyways, get back to work here. Fixed income trading, I don't know about that, Ryan, but we could do fixed income information. We're not going to compete with Tradebook anytime soon. I do think we can do brokerage. Interact is good enough. We're going to link brokerage API as well, but I think holders notifications. Well, holders come out once a quarter for most institutional holders. Here's F8, by the way. This is the other master key. And on Bloomberg, they give you a whole keyboard, but all you really need is F8 and tilde. Now menu, which is over here somewhere, is what most people have on their keyboard as end. So that's an important key too in Godel. If you do this key, it's end, which for us and Bloomberg is menu. These keys are, page up, page down, insert, home. We got a long ways to go. People are pretty sick of Bloomberg, to be honest. At least 50% plus of Bloomberg's usage is people not really using the terminal for the things that you might think. FactSet's a competitor and a partner. Mike's old. Mike hasn't cared about Bloomberg that much for a long time. It's a part-time job for him. I'm going to make some, I would make like a buy and sell button on a keyboard. If you really wanted to make a keyboard for traders, you could like pre-program stock, like you'd have an NVIDIA button or an Apple button. Icon's okay. Come on, let's get red Rigetti. What do you guys think? Can we get red? When should you sell a business? I don't know. Probably when you're tired of it, or you can get some number that you're happy with. I didn't short any Rigetti at 19. I was mostly sweating. Sweating and praying. Dear God, just this once, you let this stock go down. I'll go to church every Sunday. As soon as the stock goes down, I'm the GOAT. I don't know, Jack. People just, the bulls will run. The bulls will run. Red, that's insane. I had one of these. One of them I had to call IonQ maybe, or Rigetti. I oversold my calls. What happened? Yeah, I was short calls actually, but it wasn't a profit. All right, if you're just tuning in, I'm looking at GeneDX, which is an unprofitable diagnostics company, genomics, pediatric and rare diseases. Their biggest customers are like UNH and Aetna, which is no surprise. The ticker is WGS, which is a whole genome sequencing, which I would imagine is not their big driver here, but I could be wrong. Not too many details in the 10Q. Profitable for who? Traders or sailor? I just found out an X dated sailor. How funny is that? One of my X's. Small world. The best way to get over an X is find a new one. Looks like they do exome testing. Looks like they do a lot of newborn screening too. People who get paid to promote penny stocks, paid pumpers. The problem with all growth stocks is unless you really intimately know what's driving the growth, you don't really know when it's going to end. It's hard to know that it's hard to think that the newborn screening market's going up. Yes, I'm short QUBT. It looks like most of their business is exome sequencing. It's too bad Illumina couldn't get into this business. Waifu reveal is soon. Hold your horses. I am short AVXL. I covered Galt. Okay, so it's $3,000 per exome test. Makes sense. I don't know, I still think Galt should go to cash price, but I'm not going to wait. I think there are some limitations to self-improving AI that would have to be overcome over time, like any other technology, yeah. Same thing with quantum. Yeah, Galt owes money. Technically, Galt has no cash. No, I don't have that high of an IQ. I don't know if too many people have IQs that high. Yeah, looks like a bubble. Okay, so how many babies would merit testing the whole genome for? Well, I don't know how many of these are babies versus patients, but a lot of people have diagnostic mysteries. So 19,000 tests a quarter doesn't seem that high. There's 4 million babies born in the US, just the US, every year. I would think this is going to be a pretty good business. Low key or no cap, this generation, man. Ooh, they separate the tests here. It's good. We got whole genome, whole exome. And then they have whole exome, or exome-based. Exome-based is actually going down. And then they have cancer. And they're telling you by revenue. It's clear that the big growth driver here is their whole exome business. You just gotta see why NGL, no cap. FR, for real. I'm short all the quantum stocks. Maybe I should come up with my own quantum stock. What do you guys think? Shkreli quantum. I've looked at IBKR, Shquantum. I'm Albanian, so an extra Q could make sense. We have extra Qs. Quantum AI Bitcoin with VR. And we're adding VR. I didn't say they're the Swedish Novo Nordisk. Did I? Doesn't sound like something I'd say. I mean, Sweden just doesn't have that many big companies. Okay, I like this stock. No, I would hold off Chegg. I've been saying hold off Chegg for a long time. Stock went up a lot. Stock's back down, but I want to see how their next quarter is going. A genome is all your genetic data. So whole genome sequencing is all of the genes as opposed to just one. No, never heard of GED match. I sleep a lot. It's important to sleep. All right, let's look at some Dupixent trials. See what the competitor drug, best-in-class drug is. So Dupiumab, hepatitis, both phase 3. This should be a New England Journal or something like that. Looks like APRA was fairly similar. But I want to look at the EASI scores. This is EASI 90. Yeah, there's just no way this thing could be competitive, right? This drug, Abro, is not even being used. Not too well, medicine. Not too well. It's a really high bar, man. EASI 90, 50%. I don't have much to do with any of that, but I certainly remember meeting Pharmacyclics when it was like a $7 stock. I was long. I didn't stay long for the whole ride. Yeah, it certainly doesn't have to match Dupixent, but Abro is convenient too. Yeah, I'd be interested in Chegg at $1.50 or maybe even AVTX, that's Knacktrap's new thing. Oh, no, that's not Knacktrap's new thing. This is AKTX. 15,000 shares have traded. This man has gone from major player to biker very quickly. I like VKTX, but it's one day it'll be up a lot. Today's not that day. The funds do work, though. It's not like it's that easy. I did see they did an offering. No, I don't like CADL. Mr. Person, I've recommended Sarah Rosenbaum's book. I think we could just let more. I think there are plenty of people who are smart enough to become doctors. They're just not enough people. They don't let enough people become doctors. The AMA controls how many people get to become doctors. I'm shocked nobody's ever tried ibrutinib for atopic dermatitis ever. Can cause dermatitis. Not what you want. So it theoretically can potentiate the Th1 response, which is what Medicine Investor was saying earlier. They did a atopic dermatitis. Improved itch and hives. They're going to do phase 3. Not very good. Barely set sig. Failed to meet eczema endpoint in phase 2. You know, qualified is all a matter of perspective. Yeah, I know. It's crazy, Andy. We'll get paid. Just deferred money. No, CL55, it's usually not like this. This is very odd. Intel's turnaround might take a few years. It will definitely take a few years if it even happens. I try not to day trade. No news yet, Oral. Smooths out over time, and as long as depreciation and CapEx are roughly the same, cash flow and net income are the same. Yeah, it's not really for somebody who looks at the market every now and then. Godel is really useful if it's your job. You know, so if you want to pull up lots of SEC filings and use really quickly, that's kind of what it's designed for, the pro or the semi-pro. And, you know, serious amateurs, obviously. You know, what's the difference between a pro and an amateur? It's just how much money you have. You know, or other people paying you to manage money is basically it. Yeah, it can affect the prices. All it takes is one person. We have investors. Yeah, Godel Mobile. I mean, if you use our web app, just go to godelterminal.com on your phone. It does work. We did make some changes there. It looks okay, actually. Rigetti's such a good short. There's so many good trades right now. Just wish you had more capital. It's like infinite alpha available right for the taking. They're all on the bottom of my screen. All these are shorts. There's some longs too. Market's a little frothy. Most of the pharma is fine as a long. If you need negative beta to balance, but you know, in trading, it's all about alpha, right? You buy a stock, you hope the market goes up. That's not what we do here. I like Palantir. Yeah, Jack, it is what it is. You got to do some trend following yourself. I mean, that's the thing. If you're all value factor, you're not going to make it. You have to be long value, short value, long growth, short growth, long momentum, short momentum. Like, you can't be all in. And I've talked about a lot of them, Bruce, ad nauseum here on Twitter Spaces. I mean, a good one is DJT, where there's no business here. It's a company called Truth Social. I don't even think I have financials for it. But the thing about DJT is that I don't think anybody's realized is that they have 4 years. Yeah, I'm short IonQ. I think IonQ is technically one of my bigger shorts, top 5. So yeah, DJT is almost no 7 billion market cap, almost no revenue. You know, it is hard to build a business from scratch, even if you are Donald Trump. If you're the president and you're in office, what are you going to do? I don't think you have to value truth, because in 4 years, it's impossible. Yeah, Trump's brand isn't even worth that much. Trump's tried to sell his brand for a long time. He'll still take $1 million for an endorsement, which is crazy. So 7 billion, nobody's joining Truth Social. Like, it's just not. And then you have 4 years, and then after he's done with his presidency, I hate to say it, but like, he's going to get less interesting as he becomes 80 and 90, and one day even passes away. So how do you make a business out of this? A really good analog is Playboy. So I'm sure, you know, whether he sells any or not, I don't think it's here or there. No, he's got a different CEO. Twitter works. It's really hard to start new social networks. Listen, when you're short, you always are exposed, right? Otherwise, it'd be called free money. It's part of the game. Stocks will go up when you're short. Can't cry about it. You got to have good longs too. But, you know, that's just one stock. There's about a dozen really high conviction shorts. And your job as a portfolio manager is to find 10 or 20 good longs, 10 or 20 good shorts, and leave it at that. If you only do 5 or 3 or 1, you know, you're really going to be sweating each change in the stock, each tick. But if you do 10 or 20, you know, you're going to make money. Unless you're bad at this. If you're bad at this, you're going to lose money. But even if you do the math on Monte Carlo simulation, you can simulate portfolios. If you know even a little bit of coding, a little bit of math, you can even do it all in Excel. I don't know what IonQ put date. The vol is jacked. I'd rather just short the stock or sell calls. I do think it's better if you hedge industry differences. That's even better. I don't know about shorting Grail. I think IonQ will go back to where it came from. This time next year, it'll be a single-digit stock. Nothing's changed in quantum, man. You know, I think the idea that, like, okay, Google's interested in this. You know, Google's been interested in a lot of things, and their Google X and moonshots and stuff like that just haven't done well. They've lost lots of money in that. And if they want to keep losing lots of money in quantum, they can. But quantum is like, I think Sergey or Larry's like pet toy. Soundhound went from 4 to 16. I didn't see it. I feel embarrassed, man. It must have had a hell of a quarter. 6 billion market cap for Soundhound? It's AI mania, man. Don't short any AI stock. 50 times sales to go from 14 mil to 25 mil. Pretty good. They're guiding to 33 for next quarter. That's insane. For 2025, they're saying 165. That's probably conservative. See, it's one of the problems with tech investing is you really do have to be very close to the business and understand like what their current business trends are exactly, which is hard to do without insider info. And that's why so many tech guys have gone to jail. Snapchat's the same price as it was last time I looked at it 2 years ago. Sad. I don't know how he has 50% gross margins, man. It's all this video infrastructure. Just cost a fortune. He has calmed down on some of these employees too. Way too many employees. So that's been dropping, but his profitability hasn't gotten much better. He needs to drop his employee count even further. Yeah, you got to fight momentum sometimes. 𝗤𝗢𝗓𝗔𝗐. Acquisition revenue? Did they buy somebody? They didn't buy. They haven't bought anybody. So, oh, you're talking about Soundhound, Jackie. Got it. I didn't see that. That's pretty important. So it's not organic growth. That's crazy. Wow. Okay, then that might be a short. Because it's funny. I have a small TTS business myself, and we're familiar with the bigger one that's doing like around 100 million ARR as well, and they're not worth 7 billion. They're trading for like 2 billion. So it was very interesting to see 7 billion. TTS is text to speech. Text goes in, speech comes out. We like that market a lot. We like Godel better though. Yeah, Jackie, they mostly just have some auto customers, right? Like everybody offers it, Bruce. Just because Google offers something doesn't make it a good business. Doesn't make it not a good business. Google offers Google Cloud, and they're third place in cloud. Google offers a lot of stuff they're last place in. Remember when Google tried a social network? I have a long list of Google's failed businesses. It's not hard to see. They've killed a lot of products. We have one company, so TTS adds a little bit of revenue to our business, but Godel is our major business now, although I'm not going to give up on TTS. I actually wouldn't mind having one good TTS engineer as a hire, but somebody with serious speech expertise. It's not data, it's an FDA decision. I don't think they have it. I had this strange opportunity to ask the CEO face-to-face, which she sounded so shook. When she heard the name Martin, she was like, trust me, if you're a CEO and you hear that I'm looking into your stock, it's often bad news. That's like hearing the Grim Reaper. I hope these guys don't blame me. I didn't do anything to them. It's your fault. You don't know biotech. You didn't spend your whole life studying it like I did. That's like saying, you know, you never studied physics, you're going to make a rocket ship. And somebody who did study physics says, hey, that rocket ship's not going to work. And the rocket ship blows up and you're like, man, it's your fault. Vivek's very smart. I mean, very few people do the approach that I do. And it's not always a good thing, right? Like, my approach has upsides and downsides. I'd say across all the Wall Street guys, you know, there are people who are better investors than me because they can get conviction without the amount of work that I do. And when I really want to make a big trade, I try to get really convinced, and that takes a lot of time. So I might only be able to do a handful of high conviction trades a year. Whereas a guy like Vivek can do 50 or 100, and he's going to take some lumps and be right sometimes and wrong sometimes, but he's generally pretty good, so he's going to make a lot of money. I much rather like the surgical approach, or if I'm going to put my name on it and I'm going to make a big bet, I just got to check everything. I'm not going to leave any stone unturned. No way, no how. And that's just a different style, you know? It's a fundamentally different style. And the problem is, when you're an investor, it's hard to outsource that decision, because a lot of times you can't say, okay, well, I can have an analyst do it. Well, unless you trained your analyst for 3 or 4 years, and if you did, they might find themselves as a big boss somewhere else. You know, it's hard to necessarily be able to trust somebody else for having done all the work.
Order filled.
It's not always that obvious for others if you really expect to do your work yourself. And so if you're trying to be a financial institution, you sort of do need to work at a
Order partially filled.
You sort of need
Order
to
filled.
have some ability to scale, and scale is very hard to
Order
do
partially
by
filled.
yourself.
Order
You
filled.
kind of have to find this happy medium of scale versus profits. And for me, I'd rather be sure than have like a mediocre return that's like very whatever. Like, give me 5 good returns.
Order cancelled.
5 good trades a year, I'm happy. Yeah, it's hard to get too excited about Snap at this price, but it's close. It's not awful. So Snap's not done that bad. I don't know. I kind of, if I had to be long Snap, if I had to make a trade on Snap, I'd probably be long. But the way management has hung in there is kind of admirable. I think if you have a ton of work to do as an investor, Godel will help you do it faster. That's the main goal of terminal-based programs. Theoretically, even Bloomberg, there's not a whole lot on there that's not available on Yahoo Finance at the end of the day. I've had 10, 20 Bloomberg licenses, and I still have used Yahoo Finance from time to time, or the SEC website from time to time. So at the end of the day, like, the reason Bloomberg's so great is that you can just rapidly pull up a bunch of stuff. I don't really use a platform for crypto.